Liyab, on the surface level, we want to cook around fire and the beautiful flavors it can transmit to food. Normally, a tasting menu restaurant, as a concept, it would utilize the skills and curiosities of a chef. Liyab's menu is focused on homey flavors. For me right now, what I realized after 4 months of running Liyab is that a tasting menu is going to be very effective if they get to evoke memories, not just discoveries. Kamusta, boss? Kamusta naman, boss? Kunin mo lang yung mga garnish. Pa-fire ka din ng isang elote. On a normal day, I work between Mamacita and Liyab. So I would start the day in Mamacita, checking over, but I'm letting loose of the team because we plan to expand. And then I focus more on Liyab because it's more technical working there. I usually spend my working day here feeling fulfilled, knowing that I get to handle that much people and we were able to serve that much people in a day. Normally, Mamacita would get like 350 to 400 people a day. And for a chef like me, for someone who works in the kitchen, it's very fulfilling to be able to serve them food. I have the fish taco here. So it's Corona battered fish, corn tortilla, pineapple salsa, and cilantro crema. It's one of the best-selling tacos here. Normally, we sell like 300 pieces a day. Well, I found my pivot with Mamacita. So if it wasn't for Mamacita, Liyab wouldn't be what it is today as well. Because I was able to pick up a lot of skills in opening Mamacita. Even before Liyab. But initially, I really planned on doing Liyab first. Then Mamacita just came along as a blessing. Everything has been beautiful. Because it's more comforting, it's more fun working here. I'm not saying Liyab is not fun, but there's a huge difference. The difference is night and day. When it comes to more easier environment and more relaxed, I come here. And then Liyab is where we put all the creative juice. My interest towards food was awakened through my relationship with my mother. I believe I grew up in a household where the food was never bland. So for me, I found it interesting at a very young age. Super standout memory was every time I get served food during our meals as a family, I would get my portion of food, bring it back to the kitchen, and then put whatever ingredient I can find in the kitchen in terms of my preferences of flavor to make it my own. I started cooking very young, like around 10 years old. I started playing around putting whatever ingredient in a fried rice. Sorry.
Hi, sir.
Hello, hi. Hello. Surprise to. Oh my God! Joke lang.
Chef. Good afternoon.
Hello, Dime. She always told me that she enjoys seeing me in the kitchen. And it got stuck with me. So by the time that I needed to choose what I would do for the rest of my life, the first instinct was to be in the kitchen because of that. Before cooking, I went to design school. Initially, I wanted to do interior designing because I grew up with my dad being involved with many construction business. I feel like it culminates everything that I was gonna do in the future because being exposed to the construction sites with my father, I was able to pick up quite a few knowledge and initial instinct when it comes to building restaurants. And then with my mom, it's the cooking itself. So combining it all together, we're here. So I went to culinary school and then I started working at different restaurants in Manila. Back then, I already had Alegria, but it was more focused on being a bar than being a restaurant. So I was able to pick up a job in Singapore, flying back and forth. I was a head chef in Singapore, a couple of Latin American restaurants. That is where I really picked up a lot of skills and experience. Working under different chefs and working at their restaurants, I knew I had to do my own thing because I felt like my voice wasn't really being heard. So it has always been my goal to start my own thing and be in the direction that I really wanted to go on to. I think that was the beauty of it because right now we're in charge and we're able to explore our curiosities because we get to do our own thing now.
Hans, labas mo na rin yung kaya mo ilabas.
As a young chef, I was always in pursuit of creativity, not really seeing the bigger picture. Back then, the motivation was more on proving myself as a chef. I wasn't only doing kitchen, I was also involved with the business side of things. But I knew from the start that I needed those experience for me to be able to do what I'm doing right now.
Ito, eggplant dish. Ito.
Pero malaki onti dito para
Kasi
makapag-adjust. Yes. Swag. It's the sun! It's the sun. What was lacking before was the right kind of mindsetting. Because we weren't really prioritizing the right things when it comes to running a restaurant. I felt like I was boxed because I was working around a certain concept. Despite being bound on those moments, the silver lining was always that I was really looking forward into having a reset. And I was so excited to redo everything. And I feel like I'm very lucky because not everyone get that kind of second chance. And it's beautiful that way, even for the entire team I'm working with.
Go, start eating.
I've always wanted to work around young chefs as well because I kind of want to give them the kind of experience that I wasn't able to get when I was working for other people. I would never forget the fact that when I was young, I felt like I had something to give, but I wasn't heard of. So that is my non-negotiable right now, to be able to let people do their own.
So, I'm Gilbert Borja, one of the head chefs here at Liyab. Kakilala namin ni Chef Charles since high school pa lang. So, after noon, we've been through other restaurants pa before we got together in 2017.
We've always been working together. We've opened different restaurants. We've traveled together back and forth Singapore and Manila, back when we were running Alegria. And I feel like he is half of what Liyab is as I am as well.
Tara! So this is our back kitchen. Di pa daw sila ready. Cut! So here's our back kitchen naman. So we mostly do everything preps, mise en place here at the back kitchen. Here yung hotline. So dito niluluto lahat technically. That's the bar station and the pastry section. This is our co-head chef, Chef Oye. Nawalan salamin today.
I'm Oye, one of the head chef here in Liyab. I'm responsible with building the foundations and ferments and flavor drivers, as we say here in Liyab. So we always think of Philippines as our basis when it comes to building our flavors. We have Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and we try to learn as much as we can. We discover new produce, we discover new items and even ingredients and even traditional recipes. And we try to transform it on our own.
So this is squid garum naman. So instead of throwing out the trimmings, so naliliquefy siya. So you can use it para siyang condiments na siya. So ako favorite term ko talaga yung library of flavor drivers. So eventually magiging hundreds na yan, and then from the form of miso, vinegar, oil, powder, or even wines, you know. We have seasonalities for our produce, so we try to preserve it, so prolong it.
I myself is very excited on exploring what our landscape can give us because we have such a beautiful country that are producing a lot of great things. But right now we're working around flavors that we actually know because these are simple flavors that I have personally experienced growing up in our home and through my mom's cooking. So a couple of years ago, we went to Negros to immerse. My dad told me that my grandparents are from there, which I didn't really know. So being exposed to these kind of things, it's great to discover a lot of things, even about myself and my upbringing.
Feeling ko yun nga, we've been through ups and downs na before pa kami magkasama, and then when we're together na, so pinag-uusapan na namin ano yung gusto namin culture and all, discipline everyone. Na pumasok kayo dito, hindi lang dahil you want work. Siyempre, we prioritize din yung goals na kung ano yung gusto na vision and all ni Chef Charles. And siyempre, ako din. And hindi naman siya goal for Chef Charles, goal siya for everyone.
The most exciting part are the young people that we're working with. Chef Carmelo, Chef Clarita, and Chef Hansi as well.
I just learned about Liyab through Melo because he was the connection with Chef Charles. So they were needing a girl for the past because I believe girls are more meticulous. So Chef Charles wanted a girl. And then he recommended me. Even though he knew that we have a relationship, he still is very open. I think Chef Charles believed in us na we work professionally. Like we leave our personal life at home. And then when we go here, we're colleagues.
So for me, my connection with Chef Charles started out when I was having my second internship. Basically, I had my internship there for like 3 months, and then I had so much fun I had to extend. And then, yeah, that's when I started here at Liyab. After waiting for like a year, it was worth it. Honestly, it was just the chemistry with the team. I guess it's just more comfortable working with them because we already had that history before.
Here at Liyab, most of us are, as Chef Charles mentioned, younger chefs. So I think that's a very big advantage because in other restaurants, they're more traditional when it comes to teaching. And we learned that the hard way. So here, we're very lucky to have head chefs that are very open and our listeners. So that's very new to me, honestly, because I didn't come from that type of environment. I just feel very lucky to be able to express myself freely. Our opinions are very validated because they always ask us, what do you think? And that's very rare for a line cook to hear. Very happy about that, to be in the workplace like that.
I am Hannah. I am Liyab's head pastry chef. So I am the sweet tooth chef here. I started working with Chef Charles 2024. I started to work with him in Mamacita. So I think Chef Charles is the best example of having a mentor that knows how to instill discipline with you that doesn't sting. So it's the kind of discipline that would make you understand why he needs to do it in the first place. So honestly, when I started working with him, I was sort of burnt out. And Chef Charles really rekindled the passion in me. So it's like really Liyab. So he brought me out of my soft shell too. And it's something that I really owe to him because to have someone that sees the best in you, I think that is something that I'll be carrying for quite a while. So from being timid, now I get to be confident in what I do. I started to believe, with myself. It's like to have someone that shows up for you. That's also one thing that I would want to do for him.
The beautiful thing about working with these people is that we get to utilize the skills of each other and the characters as well, the personality, because we let each other work around comfortability. In that way, they get to explore their full potentials as individuals as well. Apart from them learning from me, I also learn a lot from them every day. And I've always told myself, if I was gonna leave my previous restaurant, it has to be for a rooftop concept. There's just something beautiful walking into a place wherein you don't see it right away. There's some kind of build-up. The design, we had to utilize a lot of Filipino craft. Everything had to be custom made because we kind of wanted to come out a certain way. That one is non-negotiable as well. And I wanted Liyab to have such a bright feeling. because my previous restaurant was too dark and moody. People were very surprised how different this is from my previous restaurant. And that is actually my goal, because we wanted to evoke such feelings, that it's very different now. Liyab, on the surface level, we want to cook around fire, and the beautiful flavors it can transmit to food. For me right now, what I realized after 4 months of running Liyab is that a tasting menu is going to be very effective if they get to evoke memories, not just discoveries. We didn't put names on the dishes that we have on the menu, but people have their own interpretation of what the food reminds them of. Like, they would easily tell us that some dishes remind them of their mom's cooking or their time spending in the province and all. That's when I found out that we're doing something very effective. First off, we do this dish utilizing local Wagyu and sea urchin. I have always been excited to do that dish because we're trying to exhibit the coexistence between the land and the sea. Apart from that, we get to utilize ingredients that are actually famously being used in tasting menus because it's Wagyu and sea urchin. Normally, you would find that in a Japanese restaurant, and it's always considered a very high quality ingredient. But we're presenting it in a way that it's local, and then people get to discover that we have those ingredients here in our country. We also do this main course where it emulates salo-salo, where it's very intimate to be sharing food in the middle of the table. Because we would be getting a lot of guests like balikbayans or Filipinos living overseas and then just visiting Manila for vacation or for tour, and then they would discover things that would remind them of their childhood. Liyab's menu is focused on homey flavors, which you wouldn't easily expect in a tasting menu restaurant. Because normally a tasting menu restaurant, as a concept, it would utilize the skills and curiosities of a chef. And then even the chef himself wouldn't really easily admit that he's just exploring.
What is so special about Liyab is the chef finishing the dish right on the side table. It's a huge invite of you being part of the dinner.
So the main dessert that we have here in Liyab, the inspiration is ice crumble. So all of the chefs here, we get to have our own version of how we used to eat it when we were young. So instead of having chocolate syrup, it has brownies instead. And then we made our homemade mallow fluff and then mallow bits. And we finished it with the strawberry granita on top that we processed in nitrogen just to mimic the texture of what an ice crush is, diba? Whenever my mom would pick me up, lagi siyang may ice crumble na dala. And then on the other hand, I have like, you know the pop rock na may lollipop? That's the inspiration. And I think the reason why it's currently in the menu, it's because we want to share something so valuable to us from our childhood, because we also think na it's really worth to remember.
As I matured in this industry, I was able to experience a lot of beautiful things, dining in and being exposed to different chefs, industry friends, like what they're doing, and I got inspired by them heavily. Which is why I figured out we needed a reset. I'm still in the phase of discovering a lot of what our country can give. Because of the restaurant, we're getting this kind of opportunity to be exposed and immersed on these things. We get to meet a lot of people, not just suppliers, farmers, fisher folks. We get to learn a lot from them. So had I chosen to stay in Singapore, I wouldn't be experiencing this. That's why I feel like I made the right decision of coming back home, opening restaurants, and then meeting people. Apart from that, it's also important for you to choose carefully who you surround yourself with. How do I approach work now? It doesn't feel like work at all. I feel like I'm coming to a place where I really belong because I really get to be happy around the things that we do. And I'm always excited to see the people I work around with. They're more than just colleagues, but I consider them as my friends as well. If I'm gonna be honest, I would still choose to spend time at work because I wouldn't really think of any kind of side activities or hobby that fulfills me the same. I feel like I'm still in my childhood, just grabbing different ingredients by the shelves and then putting it on the food. But the better thing right now is that I'm surrounded with such great help that I also learn from them. My biggest goal, to be honest, it's too early, but I wanna let go of the restaurant to the next generation. We wanna build something that's gonna stand long, with me stepping away and then giving chance to people who have something to not just prove, but something who wants to fulfill great things.